Hello and welcome along to the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel. I am Kris, I am your host today, and if you are new to the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe, especially if you are liking all things Newcastle United, especially transfer rumours, which is what we're going to be diving into today. So we're in the last week of June, a month which has obviously passed Newcastle United by, as we've done zero business when it comes to first team starters and changing the starting 11 and the first team squad at the club. But that's not to say that we haven't been linked with a number of players this month. We have been so, but we have been told by local journalists that Newcastle United will most likely not be spending money in June, and we will have to wait till July because of the ongoing PSR issues on Tyneside. In this video, what we will be doing, we will be looking at the right-hand side for Newcastle, an area which has needed some investment for a number of seasons, a number of years now. I think all fans will be in agreement. We were left with Jacob Murphy and Miguel Almiron to fill that space. Murphy had a great season last year and the last campaign out, but can we bring somebody in to not only compete, but to take that spot away from him? So, let's get straight into it. We are led to believe that Newcastle are openly scouting wide attackers to add a new dimension to that right-hand flank, like I just mentioned, because there's been very little competition over there. So today, what we are going to be doing, we're going to be breaking down 5 potential signings that could revolutionise Newcastle United's gameplay across both the Premier League and European football. Because if you didn't realise, Newcastle United did grab Champions League football. The 5 players that we will be looking at today are Elanga, Kudus, Bakayoko, Semenyo, and Joao Pedro. What we'll be looking at is their stats, value, and how they fit tactically in Eddie Howe's system at St. James's Park. So let's start firstly with some recent updates, something which everybody would have seen already. Newcastle United did put a 45 million bid in for Anthony Elanga. That bid was instantly rejected, faster than you can say Shy Baines getting out. Apparently, Forest valued the player at a whopping £60 million. Whether or not you think that is a good value, that's a different question itself, and we will be doing another video based on just that. Newcastle do seem to be leaning towards players in their early 20s when seeking to bring in the future targets, something which we've done for a little while now. Elanga certainly meets that criteria. 22 years old, Alexander Isak's international teammate for Sweden. Obviously, he's caught the attention of Eddie Howe, and we were previously linked with him in January. He did make 38 appearances, contributing 6 goals, 11 assists, which is pretty impressive alone, assists. Elanga, of course, he's got the potential to offer it all. His blistering speed places him alongside the fastest players in the Premier League last season, and he hit an impressive 36 kilometers per hour sprints. A couple of things to look at. He's excellent in his vertical transitions, which is perfect for our counter-attacking scenarios. We do like to play high up the field. He can hold a width or outside and stretch the pitch on the right-hand side, which obviously allows our fullbacks, like Trippier and Tino Livramento, to push on and overlap in those situations, which I love to see the overlap on fullbacks. Elanga, he thrives in those high-tempo situations and systems. His direct running make Newcastle even more dangerous on the break. We're dangerous anyway, but with him running up the flanks, then that's only going to galvanise and push up even forward. Whether or not Newcastle go in for another bid is to be questioned. £60 million is a lot of money, but you never know with this football club. Next up, we're going to look at Mohammed Kudus. It's a player which has caught the attention of a few Premier League clubs, not just Newcastle United, but with a rumoured £85 million release clause, his fee could cause a bit of an issue if Newcastle are looking at basically taking care of our PSR restrictions. He is a player, if you spend that much money on, huge concerns. But could West Ham allow him to leave for less than that? Once again, just with Elanga, perfect age, 23 years old, fits perfectly into, like I mentioned before, Newcastle United's future and the players that we are looking at bringing in. Steady season last season, 32 appearances, 5 goals, 4 assists. He can also play a variety of roles across the attacking positions. He offers that inverted right wing role, drifting centrally to link in with Isaac and Gordon. Barnes is also potential. He adds that ball retention, doesn't really lose the ball, and unbelievably creative in the final third. He presses from the front, which is great for Eddie Howe's roles in football and what he likes to see his team do. He also gives Newcastle the ability to change shape. He can cut inside. He links play up really well. creates new patterns of movement, which we haven't really seen from Jacob Murphy last season. Technically, he looks fantastic. And he does look a joy to watch. Not a natural winger. Could turn out to be very expensive, but great player. Not sure if it's one for Newcastle United, though. Not this time around. So let's move on to someone which has been mentioned a fair few times on our Monday night show on the Always Smiling Faces podcast. I know Decker is a huge fan of this player, and it is Semenyo. If, let's say, Newcastle fail in their attempts to sign Elanga from Forest and would look elsewhere, I think he probably is the one. Be very wise to quickly turn our attentions down to the South Coast and look at bringing him and taking him away from Bournemouth. Once again, 24 years old. He's had a decent season for Bournemouth last season, and coming to a club that Newcastle hopefully create more chances that makes that campaign even better for him potentially. 37 appearances, 11 goals, 5 assists. He's an unbelievably viable option for Newcastle. He's physical, he's relentless, he's ideal on high intensity press on that wing. He can start out wide and also drive inside because, like I said, he's unbelievably powerful as well. Drawing fouls, taking defenders away from strikers. But God knows who the strikers will be next season. Obviously, you've got Isaac. Not sure who else is going to be alongside him. And he works unbelievably hard without possession. Something similar and something which Jacob Murphy has been credited for Eddie Howe over the previous season as well. So like I said, he brings the power, pace. He won 130 duels last season. But also something Eddie values deeply, like I mentioned, is that defensive intensity. He's a pressure machine, unbelievable at that. And on the right-hand side, was still posing a direct threat as well. Could we possibly take him away for 35, 40 million? Surely that's decent business for both clubs, you would hope so. But our value and what we put on a player is completely different to the selling club, just like what we have seen with Nottingham Forest. Now let's leave the Premier League and head over. Let's go over to the Netherlands. Bakayoko is a player who's not just caught the attention of Newcastle, but a number of clubs. I think Liverpool, Arsenal previously showed interest in January. He almost sent for Brentford a couple of seasons back as well. But we all know Eddie Howe does like his Premier League proven players, which obviously he is not playing in the Dutch league at the moment. But once again, an abundance of talent, a raw player. He's 21 years old, Belgian winger. And to be fair, his highlight reel is pretty impressive. Something which a lot of football fans do is jump straight on YouTube and look at a highlight reel of a player. And you know what it is? He's edge of seat sort of player from what I can see. You'll definitely get fans on the feet and egging him on further up the field. But would PSV be open to offers? He did make 30 appearances last season, 9 goals, just 1 assist, I believe, which isn't great, but that 9 goals is pretty impressive. He's your classic touchline winger. He thrives in those 1v1 situations, very similar to Maxi. He adds width. His dribbling threat is second to none. He looks really dangerous with the ball at his feet. And from what I've seen, he can play with either foot. He's scoring goals from unbelievably tight shooting angles with left and right, and some decent power and placement in them as well. He would give us that true creative winger, something which we've been lacking. He's dribbling, his wide play could stretch those low blocks, which we've always struggled against, and we've always struggled to unlock the likes of the pack defenses, and he's a possibility that could fix that issue. One to watch out for. I would really love to see Newcastle show interest in this player and to put a bid in, test the waters, but let's see what happens. And finally, let's move over to Joao Pedro. Joao Pedro, a name that has been on the lips of Newcastle United scouts for a long, long time. Obviously, he's not your typical winger. And is he going to be the answer to the right-hand side? Probably not. But Newcastle have shown long interest in the player, ongoing pursuit. And could he possibly link up with fellow Brazilians in Bruno and Joe Linton next season? Like I mentioned, Newcastle long-term admirers of him. Close to sign him from Watford a few years back. And Fabrizio Romano actually said, here we go at one point. But he never wore those black and white stripes. Could now be the time where he could do that. Obviously, he's not your winger. He's not your stereotypical winger like the ones that I have just mentioned. But what you do get with Pedro is versatility. He brings players in from a number of positions. He can play in a number of positions as well. We've seen him on the left wing, right wing. We've seen him as a cam role as well, and obviously a striker. 6 assists last season and 10 goals, I believe it was. He had a great season. So yes, he could potentially be as a winger, but I think we'll probably more be looking at the role alongside Isak, or even as an Isak replacement if he was to get banned, injured, whatever it may be, or just managing his game time a little bit better. His movement's unbelievably clever, like I said, and he knows where the goal is. I think he's probably more one as a striking option for us. Once again, though, probably looking around 60 million to bring him in. And Chelsea have, as always, been copying Newcastle United's homework. So the chances of signing them are slipping away. But I believe he is another one to keep an eye out for. So let's just summarize everything we've quickly gone through there. If Howe wants to evolve that right-hand side into something more dangerous, each of these players, they offer something different. Elanga, Semenyo for speed and energy. You've got Kudus and Pedro for that creativity. And you've got Bakayoko, who's that classic winger and, like I said, edge of the seat sort of stuff. Let us know which player that you would like to see. Which player do you think would suit that right-hand side for Newcastle? Who's the best option out of those 5 on the right-hand side? Or if you've got another player in mind, send them our way. Let us know. Drop a comment. Hopefully you have liked this one. Like I said, we will be doing a few more videos on this matter, and obviously the recent bid that has been rejected for Semenyo. But yeah, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications as well, because there's plenty of stuff coming over the coming weeks. See you next time. Ta-ra.